All right, so we're going to redesign our shape and triangle classes where each will have their own constructors. So the shape class will have the constructor shape, which will have a double W and a double H. And then we'll set the width to W and we'll set the height to H. Okay. So, and likewise, our triangle class will have a constructor called triangle, and which will have a string S and a double for W and also a double for H. Okay, so now, okay, we can easily set the style to S, but the question here is that what do we do with W and H so that we can there's two ways we can set. One, we can call say the setter method, set width and set height to W and H to width and height, but the better way is that we call this super, which we'll call the super constructor. Okay, so I'm going to explicitly call super and then with W and H. All right, so this will call and we'll set double width and height. So moving down to our triangle, we can no longer call the triangle with no argument. We have to supply the 4.0. First, we need to put this field here and 4.0 here and 5.0 here. So we can't call the no argument constructor anymore. So it will also make these guys really redundant. Okay, so with this, our program should work as expected. Let's run this, and here you go. So width is 4, height is 5, triangle is filled, and area is 10. There you go. Here's the code that we work on. Let's discuss what will happen if we have multiple constructors. So in this example, I will have a no argument constructor for shape, which means I can set the width and height both to 0. Okay, so if that's confusing, we can set them in a single line, 0.0, and height is also 0.0. Okay, so we also make sure that we have a matching no argument constructor for triangle. Now, so since there is no style, we can set style to something like none. Okay, now when we call non-argument constructor for triangle, which super constructor should be called? Should we call this one or should we call this one? Okay, so what would make sense that we call the no argument constructor? So if you remember the constructor and method overloading from chapter 6, so which means that I'm going to call the super with no arguments. So in this case, this constructor will call exactly this constructor. All right, so let's see this in the example as well. So we still have a triangle T1, which is calls the 3 argument constructor for triangle, which then will call two argument super shape constructor. However, if we do create another triangle, T2, which will be a new triangle with no arguments. No arguments means that we'll set the style to none and we'll set the width and height to 0. So what happens if we call info for T2, show dims and style and area. So going to compile and run. So the info for T2 is width is 0, height is 0, triangle is none, and area is also 0.